Welcome to Crescent Junction. Please subscribe and click on the bell icon to get notifications when I upload my next video. One of the biggest problems next to power issues for new modelers is derailments. This video is about what could be referred to as a perfect storm of things that can lead to derailments. There is a great written explanation of derailment causes by a gentleman named Mal, who hails from North Wales in the UK. See the link to this in the description below. Today I want to explain about a situation I had on my layout where several things contributed to a series of derailments. Hopefully what I present here will help you get your railroad running better. I first noticed this particular instance when I was running a train around my layout as part of testing the new trackage. As it entered what is going to be hidden trackage, all seemed good. That is, until the train exited from the other side. When the train appeared on the other side, there was something missing: the whole train. This was caused by a derailment, the same place as I showed at the end of my Layout 1 update video. In that one, it was obvious that there was a derailment, but I wasn't sure just what the cause was. This is why we need to test run trains over new sections of track to find the places that cause derailments. This one, I thought it was primarily the wheel sets on the cars, so I went over them, checking and fixing the wheel gauge. This helped some, but in this case the first car didn't appear to derail. It wasn't until it was hidden that it came uncoupled from the engine. Of course, as I tried to capture the derailment on video, it wouldn't do it again. I did get a photo of the car that derailed as it went down the track. As you will see later, I did finally get a shot that shows what was happening. One of the things that I found out was there are several things that can cause derailments. One thing that affects derailments is long cars or engines with body-mounted couplers connected to cars with truck-mounted couplers. Here are some examples. First is a relatively short loco with body-mounted couplers. As you move them around the curve, you can see how they aren't aligned. Also, with a longer loco, you can see the same thing but more extreme. Normally, the swing in the couplers will allow the train to go around the curve with no problem, until there is a defect in the track. Now in this close-up, you can see how the flanges are pushed against the rail when the coupler is pushed to one side. Any flaw in the track can cause a derailment if the flange is pushed into the rail like this. The flange will catch and ride up and over the rail. Now for an example, notice this train where it's on a downgrade and the couplers are bunched up. And then watch the couplers as I pull the cars back up the hill. You can see them straighten out. And then when I let them go, they compress again and get pushed to the side. Watch the couplers as I pull the cars back up the hill. You can see them straighten out. And then when I let them go, they compress again and get pushed to the side. Now back to my case of the missing train. Here's a slow motion that I was able to get where you can see some of the wheels jump as they go over the points on this particular turnout. Notice the arrow pointing to this location. Now take a look at the offending points. See how one wiggles as I move it? This can allow it to stick out from the stock rail as the wheels pass over. And then here you can see how the point isn't resting against the stock rail so that it's flush, and it sticks out and can catch a wheel flange. And it also sticks up above. Notice how as I slide this piece of metal across the point, it catches on the point where it sticks up. This can also cause a derailment. Now, looking at this close-up, notice how it appears actually bent out away from the stock rail. And then here are some other close-ups of what I'm talking about. And then also an example of a truck lifting up as it hits the point and also hits the open side. One thing you can do is file the inside of the point so that it doesn't stick out as far from the stock rail. Another thing that will help is to recess the stock rail so the point is flush. I chose to take a risk and remove the stock rail from the turnout. If you decide to try this, experiment on an old piece of track so you don't mess up an expensive turnout. Here is how I do this. First, remove the turnout from the layout. Now, hold it up on a block so that the ties are solidly on the block and gently tap on the stock rail you want to remove. This will loosen it in the plastic spikes and allow it to be slid out. Now grasp the rail with a pair of pliers and gently pull straight out. If you wiggle it or twist it or pull to one side, you can easily break the plastic spikes and then the turnout will be ruined. Notice here the recess in the rail. This is where we will remove some of the rail to allow the point to set in further and allow the wheels to pass over cleanly. Here you can see how I file the recess by holding the rail on the corner of a block of wood and carefully removing material in a straight, even manner. And of course, if you're going to do this, you have to taper that recess back far enough so the back or heel of the point doesn't hit the stock rail and keep it from fitting in properly. You can also hold the filed stock rail up against the point in the turnout to see just how it fits, so that you know how much has to be removed. So with the stock rail out of the way, you can also file the end of the point thinner so it recesses better. Be sure to hold something against the point so you don't break it off. You can also angle the top of the point a little bit so that there's less to catch on. Now be sure to clean up the burrs from where you were filing that will come up, because that will make it hard to slide the rail back in. You can use a file or very fine emery cloth to do this. Then also touch up the end of the rail, as there can be burrs there as well from manufacturing that will keep it from sliding in. I didn't get a shot of this, but next you want to carefully slide the stock rail back in, keeping it straight just as you did when you pulled it out. So now, after I've done all this, I reinstalled the turnout back on the layout, and the same train goes over it at speed with no derailments. I wound up repairing about 20 turnouts just to be sure. And yes, most of them needed work. And now I can run trains without fear of derailments. And here you can see a northbound D&H manifest with 3 Alco C420s. And now here's an eastbound coal train headed for Bow, New Hampshire. And also a train from the modern era, an empty ethanol train headed for Chicago.